I've decided I make a better Joker than Jared Leto. In author news, there are a whole new host of self-publishing scams you need to keep an eye out for. A Canadian teen author has just published her second novel out of 6. And in a shocking twist of fate, the woman who wrote How to Murder Your Husband has murdered her husband. I'm Noah Barfield, and this is author news. Publishing scams have been around for quite a while. One might argue, in fact, that publishing scams have been around since publishing has been around. In the 90s, however, things took a different turn. We saw the introduction of reading or agent fees. These would be fees that agents, or people pretending to be agents, would charge to read your manuscript. Because if the manuscript didn't pan out for the agent or the publishing company, then, in theory, that's wasted time on the agent's part. It's insidious because, from a certain perspective, it makes sense. We want to charge for our time and for our services. However, many of these agents had no intentions of passing along your manuscript to a publishing company or to get it represented in any sort of way. And while there's nothing wrong with wanting to be paid for your time and services, when those time and services are in fact an actual scam, then we have an issue. Fast forward to the 21st century. It is now 2018, current year. These new risks are commonly aimed at small press or self-published authors. It's easier to get lulled into a false sense of security with this because many of them aren't as obvious as we want to believe. You can have pay-to-play publishers, and I personally hate that because I hate paying to play games of any kind. If I pay money for something, or if I've invested my time and energy into it, then I expect equal recompense, whether that's in terms of monetary compensation, energy, or time given back to me. Frankly put, if I put effort and energy into getting my manuscript and making sure that everything was being sold and done properly to my publishing company, I expect that same time and energy returned back to me. Like I said before, there's nothing wrong with wanting to charge for your time and for your services. Some small presses may want to charge a little bit of money up front to ensure that you are actually committed and ready to see this through to the end. However, that should be balanced out with a larger return on royalties, a greater investment in time, something that will prove to be beneficial to you almost immediately or shortly down the road. Additionally, there are companies out there who give out fake prizes or awards, having hefty fees for entering a contest, and while many contests do in fact have entry fees, this is to help cover the cost of everybody involved in doing everything and getting the piece where it needs to go. Also, these contests commonly will offer rewards up to hundreds or thousands of dollars, in addition to maybe getting you in a magazine or a piece on a website or anything like that. They're a great chance for you to not only earn money at what you do and what you're good at, but also give you the chance to show other people as well. However, the entry fees in these legitimate contests are commonly very affordable because they know writers are not in fact taking money baths every day, as some would like to believe. There are, of course, more obscure scams, like people trying to charge a copyright registration fee, which is the first one that I've heard. I assume that you would also have people trying to charge patent fees, or any other small dosage of fees sprinkled along the publishing process that many self-published authors might think that they need. Of course, there are the obvious scams, the one in the books and in the articles and in the training programs, where if you pay $149, you will have the no-holds-barred ultimate secret path to success and immediately gain the bestseller title without having to do any work whatsoever. There is no substitute for hard work and dedication whenever it comes to trying to become published. It's simply a matter of trying to push through everything until you finally meet some measure of success. However, there are even those scams who try and take advantage of such honest hard work and dedication. Because there exist all over the globe companies who will try and poach small press or self-published authors who have not yet hit their peak or who are rising to their peak, trying to goad them into buying ludicrous packages of exorbitantly priced programs, trying to republish them into getting better deals, better royalties, and better marketing. It is, of course, a scam. You have these people selling junk marketing with nothing that goes anywhere, taking your money, rebranding or republishing with artwork that doesn't look good, and no viable channels for actual exploration for sales or marketing or anything of the like. So I encourage people not only to do research for themselves, but to advise others on the scams that you regularly encounter across the internet and beyond. Our next story is a little more positive. Alexa Wilcox from Hammonds Plains, which I believe is an area in Nova Scotia, Canada, recently published her second novel out of 6. Oh, and did I mention that Miss Alexa is 15? Alexa began her journey as an author whenever she wanted to give her mother a novel as a Christmas present. And with the holidays a few months away, if any of you writers out there are a little low on funds, write them stories. Anyway, Miss Alexa wrote her first novel, Aqua Jewel, originally as a present for her mother. However, her parents quickly recognized her writing talent, and her father especially encouraged her to publish it. She worked with editors and family friends to make her novel more professional grade before self-publishing it through CreateSpace. And I believe she described the experience of holding her own physical novel in her hands with cover art and everything as surreal. Having gotten published myself as a teenager, holding the physical copy of your book in your hands is a very surreal experience, and one that involves a lot of dancing, which was noticeably absent in Miss Alexa's interview, but I'm going to assume it happened anyway. The trials and tribulations of being a teen writer are many, and not easily undertaken, especially not by those who also do piano, dance, and school, like Miss Alexa. However, the fact that she published her first novel, Aqua Jewel, at 14, and her second one, Fire Crystal, at 15, is a testament to her dedication and resourcefulness as a writer. I hope she pursues it in a professional capacity down the road, because I would love to see her novels start to line the shelves of bookstores all around me. And so, Miss Alexa, if you happen to watch this for some reason, all the way up in the Great White North, I wish you the best of luck, and to do things other than play Despacito. And now for story time. This piece comes from Phoenix, and while a title was not mentioned, perhaps I missed it. If I'm given one later by the author, I will include it in the description. I've also been given a pronunciation guide for this particular piece, though I will still probably manage to bungle the names. I hope you enjoy anyway. I hate having to do my job, the god muttered, rich voice nearly a whisper. The words were for himself. Zakarian felt certain. What compelled him to speak wasn't bravery, but the dread forming an icy pit in his stomach. Your job? Killing people? My job. Eschengale moved forward, grabbing him by the front of the shirt. Zakarian recoiled, muscles tensing for a fight. He had to stop himself from grabbing his sword. He pulled back, but the god tugged him closer. Father! Zakarian couldn't keep all the panic from his voice. It coursed through him, flooding his pulse and becoming the very blood in his veins. He couldn't show the fear and face of death. Final story, again for the second week in a row, involves murder. Seem to be developing a pattern here. Nancy Crampton Brophy, the author of How to Murder Your Husband, well, she murdered her husband. I will say, it takes guts to advertise the murder of your husband several years before the fact. And speaking of guts, her husbands are all over the floor of the Oregon Culinary Institute. Police found Dan Brophy, Nancy's husband, shot in the stomach on the floor of the Oregon Culinary Institute on June 2nd. How to Murder Your Husband was only an essay written by Miss Nancy, and is in fact one of her many works, most of which being part of the romantic suspense genre. Other novels penned by Miss Nancy include The Wrong Husband and Girl Most Likely To. Her novels oftentimes involve heroines trapped in a relationship that may be abusive or unsatisfying in another way, and they have to escape to new men who give them more fulfilling lives, and occasionally they must resort to murder for that escape. While the darker elements of romantic suspense are clearly illustrated in Miss Nancy's novels, it is apparent, however, that the heroines still are viewed in a more noble or positive light, but I'm not sure the same can be said for the author herself. Nancy and Dan were apparently married for 26 years before he was cut down too early. She has since made her essay, How to Murder Your Husband, private, though it can still be found on internet archives across the web. She released a statement the next day after her husband was murdered, and it reads, For my Facebook friends and family, I have sad news to relate. My husband and best friend, Chef Dan Brophy, was killed yesterday morning. For those of you who are close to me and feel this deserved a phone call, you are right. But I'm struggling to make sense of everything right now. There is a candlelit vigil at the Oregon Culinary Institute tomorrow, Monday, June 4th at 7 p.m. While I appreciate all of your loving responses, I am overwhelmed. Please save phone calls for a few days until I can function. At the very least, she recognized his death and made note of it on the internet. Whether she will actually admit to killing him or not is another thing. And that little detail right there is something I would like to expand upon a little further. Right now, Miss Nancy has been accused of murder and arrested for that charge. However, that is all it is at this point, an accusation. She has allegedly murdered her husband Dan. And while I'm not sure her essay will add to her legal defense, many of the case details have not been revealed fully to the public as of yet, and so we're still unsure about the actual determination of Miss Nancy's fate, whether she did in fact kill her husband. Right now, only she knows, and whoever she has trusted the details to. So not only do I want to thank you for watching today, but also for your patience, because there was no video yesterday. I had a large appointment come up that I was unable to cancel, and I wanted to just let you all know. I did it on social media yesterday, but I wanted to do it as close to face as I could get with you. That I do apologize for not making that video yesterday, and I hope that you'll like the ones that I have planned for the rest of the week. If you enjoyed Author News, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, ring-a-ding-a-ling that bell as much as you can, and leave a comment below. If you have interesting stories in your area or that you find while browsing the interwebs, please submit them to me either direct message on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Reddit, or use the contact form on the ArcStorm website. Additionally, if you or one of your friends have a story that you would like to see read on Author News, please also contact me using the aforementioned methods, and I will get back to you as soon as I possibly can. And I am curious of your opinion on some of these stories as well. Do you think scams are becoming easier or more difficult to spot? A 15-year-old girl having published her second fantasy novel out of 6. How does that make you feel at your current age while you're writing? Because it makes me feel a little jealous. And do you think Nancy actually killed her husband? Or do you think a lot of this is conjecture based upon her written works? And also, do you think you have to be careful about what you write because it could be used against you in a police investigation? Let me know your answers in the comments below, and I look forward to reading them. Thank you. I'll be back with a new video soon. See you then. Da 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 da.